And when you find yourself incapable of seeing eye to eye, remember when they go low, we go high. Yeah.
So I already referenced the program, and inside are my thanks to everybody who helped make this night possible. None of this would have been possible. I've already given the shout out to David Eisner and his crew. I've already given the shout out to the graphic design person. But Philip Levine, who lives in Florida, who doesn't even get to be here tonight, did the website and helped with ticket sales and helped manage all of this. So on the video, I just really need to be able to say, Philip, thank you. Can we just have a quick shout out for Philip Levine as a volunteer? My legislative staff has helped me in this, all the volunteers who helped with setup and greeting and all that. Thank you to all the volunteers who are here tonight. And Jack Hartzman of the Washington Talent Agency, who set up his magic mirror, his photo booth, and he and Dave have been taking photos tonight, and we're going to have super great photos. Ralph is doing video, and so it's really exciting. So if you haven't liked the UnNaugural Facebook page, also I've been posting a lot of stuff on my Senator Cheryl Kagan Facebook page, and I went live on my personal page. So lots of ways of staying in touch about this concert and seeing that. So these are startup people, startup performers, and we have a startup congressman now. But he is so not a startup congressman. I'm so blessed because when President Miller rearranged the deck chairs after Jamie Raskin had the audacity, but thank you, the brilliance to leave us because we need him even more in Washington than we do in Annapolis, although it's such a huge loss. When President Miller rearranged the seats on the floor, I got to sit in Jamie Raskin's chair. And that's my new seat on the floor. First off, it's a way better view, but I keep waiting for all of his brilliance to, sort of seep up from a tush up to my brain. I'm hoping that's going to start happening any time now. But some of you have said kind comments about my words after the president and his bleep hole is, comments, and it was crazy, and I wish Jamie had been there to join me in speaking out about that. But there was a Republican who tried to silence me, and we shut him down, and we've got to keep speaking out. And the guy who's speaking out for us, thank you. The guy who's speaking out for us every day on Capitol Hill. So we know that Ben Cardin and Chris Van Hollen are working hard, but our congressman here in the 8th District is the brilliant, passionate, wise, compassionate, loving, articulate Jamie Raskin, my friend.
Well, hello, Rockville, and hello, Rockers. I was very impressed by Heather May. I don't know if she's still here, and the real Chris Matthews. That was impressive, wasn't it? And Cheryl Kagan, thank you so much for your sweet words. That's really something.
I was told to ask you to do Simon Says.
No, Simon Says for the people. How about if I lead them some chants, okay?
Whatever you want.
Can we do that?
I just had a request.
So, man, I am psyched to be here. How many of you guys were out today? Yeah, at the march. Wow, that is, it was really something. I was sitting on the House floor. We were about to have our, 47th losing vote and trying to stop the shutdown of the government, which the GOP accomplished this weekend. And I started talking to some other members. I said, we got to get out of here. We got to go to the Women's March on Washington anniversary. And so we ended up with a group of about 25 of us. And we went over with Nancy Pelosi, the first woman House Speaker ever, the woman who drives Donald Trump crazy, although admittedly that's a pretty short trip. We got to be out there with the people of Maryland because there were so many. I was very, very proud, and it brought me back to the events of a year ago. I guess a year ago was the inauguration. I don't know how many of you guys made it to the inaugural address. I couldn't make it myself, but I watched it on TV, and I liked it just fine. I think I would have preferred it in the original Russian that it arrived in. But it was a downer. You remember the American Carnage address. For me, this period began not on January 20th, 2017, but January 21st, 2017. And that was the day, I love this song by Heather May, We the People, because that was the day when those first three beautiful, glorious words of the Constitution came alive. And you know, the original political philosophers of democracy, like John Locke and Rousseau, they distinguished between sovereignty and government. And they thought that when you set up a government, everybody who goes to work is nothing but a servant for the people. Those of us who aspire and attain to public office are nothing but servants of the people. That the people are always in charge. The people always have the sovereignty. And that's why those words are so beautiful, and that's why the Women's March and the political ethos of the Women's March is so beautiful. But I remember when I was leaving that day, and I had my three kids with me, Hannah, Tommy, and Tabitha, and I told them it was basically like the best political day of my life, except there was only one criticism I had of it, which is there were no chants about the emoluments clause. And so my youngest, Tabitha, says, "Dad, nothing rhymes with the emoluments clause." So being an old school college protester, I took that as a challenge, and I said, well, what do you think about stop Trump, stop Pence, impeach them for emoluments? So you guys can try that on for size. And that was the day I decided, I was going to go to every one of the rallies or marches. I don't know if did you guys make it to the airport protests? Yes? Tens of thousands of people. I don't even like going to the airport to get on an airplane, and I spent the entire day at the airports and the Science March. So anyway, I made up a chant for every one of the rallies. Maybe you could try this one with me, okay? It goes like this. Yes to science, yes to reason, no to Trump, and no to treason. What do you think about that? Or, I saw Mike Tidwell here. Here was my climate change one. Trump, you liar, our forests are on fire. Well, anyway, I want to tell you just one little story about climate change to give you a sense of both what we're up against, but also why we're going to win, okay? So, I come from Annapolis, where Cheryl and I have spent so many years working and fighting to make Maryland the great progressive leader that it is, And we abolished the death penalty, and we restored voting rights for ex-felons, and we passed marriage equality, and we passed the toughest gun safety law in America, and we did all those things. And you know what? A lot of them we do with bipartisan involvement. We cross the aisle. We work with Republicans. So I'm always trying to do that in Washington. And so I've got a friend who's a very high-ranking Republican on the House Committee on Science and Technology. And I said to him one day, I said, he's from Texas. I said, we can disagree about abortion rights. We can disagree about your terrible tax bill. We can disagree about a lot of things. But climate change, you guys have really got to get serious, because it's the whole future of our species which is at stake. So he says, well, Jamie, you've got your scientists and we got our scientists. And I'm like, that's not how science works, It's not a partisan endeavor. And I said, I take him to the NSA website and the CIA website and DOD, all of them. I say, all of the professional scientists agree climate change is a reality. It's here. It's caused by our species, and we've got to deal with it. And all of the professionals agree. And he says, well, let me tell you a story about that. Professionals built the Titanic. Amateurs built Noah's Ark. Okay? It took a second for that to kind of sink in, what he was saying. And I was like, does that mean that you want an amateur, flying your airplane back to Texas this weekend? You want an amateur performing heart surgery on you? And I thought it was kind of the end of the discussion. I was sort of despondent about it. And then he called me a couple weeks later, and he said, check out the Dallas Morning Herald. And I did, and he'd made a speech in which he said he'd been doing a lot of research, and he accepted, actually, that climate change was real. He wasn't sure if humans caused it, but climate change was real, and he said it was real serious. And then the next week, he announced he was leaving Congress, which a lot of them are doing, you know. The minute that kind of the ideological spell breaks, then they think, okay, I've got no place left in a party that really could be like a right-wing religious party in Syria or Lebanon or, you know, something like that. So we're making progress, and guess what? If all of us do our jobs, as we saw in Virginia, as we saw in Frederick, where we took back the mayoralty, as we saw in Annapolis, where we took back the mayoralty and the city council, as we saw in New Jersey, as we saw in Alabama, as we just saw in Colorado, if Democrats organize, Democrats win. And we're going to win in 2018. And so I want to leave you with this thought. You know, when I finished that conversation with my friend from Texas, and he said, Raskin, you're really a liberal. And I said, you're damn right I'm a liberal. The heart of the word liberal is liberty. If we're not for liberty, what are we for? But I will also call myself a progressive, because the heart of the word progressive is progress. If we're not making progress, what are we doing in politics? But these days, I said to him, and I really stuck it to him with this, I said, I call myself a conservative, because I want to conserve the land and the air and the water and the climate system and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, all of the civilizing movements of the last century, the civil rights movement, the women's movement, the LGBT movement, the peace movement, the labor movement. That's who we are, and I want to conserve all of it. And the people who call themselves conservatives today, I don't even know what they want to conserve other than their own wealth and power. And that's not enough for us in the year 2018. And I leave you with the words of the great Tom Paine, who wrote at the time of the American Revolution a wonderful pamphlet called The Crisis. And in it, he wrote these beautiful words. I'm going to update them a little bit just so they don't offend our modern sensibilities. But he said, "These are the times that try the souls of men and women." These are the times that try the souls of men and women. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will shrink at this moment from the service of their country. But everyone who stands with us now will win the love and the favor and the affection of every man and every woman for all time. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, but we have this saving consolation. The more difficult the struggle, the more glorious in the end is our victory. And we will have victory, and we will be stronger than we ever were before all of this started. Thank you very much, and let's hear it for Cheryl Kagan. So, thank you. So,
Jamie Raskin. We are so lucky to have Jamie Raskin representing us in Congress. The nation is so lucky to have Jamie Raskin in Congress. Thank you, Jamie, for making the time to join us.
We go high.